You're listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 138, Deep Purple Turning to Crime, Part 2. And coming to you from the Wounded Feet of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John, 50-year-old mattress Matola. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so since so we're recording these episodes back to back on back-to-back days. Yeah, if you joined us last week, we got into a bit of a discussion on the Golden Girls. So even though we recorded last night, we've been sharing Golden Girls quotes and clips.
Did you like that? Beat it, you 50-year-old mattress.
That's Sophia. You gotta love her.
Oh, that's the last one that I sent you before the show was so funny though. May your marinara sauce never cling to your pasta. And then Sophia's like,
biting her background, making the same face as when she got called a 50-year-old mattress.
So of course, what do you think I did? I fired up a couple of episodes before we started recording because what else? You know, I want to hear a bunch of old women insult each other. It's the best thing ever.
Oh man, that's
highly recommend.
Well, I had today off of work and I was getting my kids ready for school and I ran down the stairs and my foot, I don't know how it happened or why it was there, but there was a toothpick on the ground at the bottom of the stairs. Went directly like Home Alone style where he steps on the nail and it goes like into his foot. It was like that. Like
no. Oh,
I was like I fell on the ground and I'm screaming and my kids are like, what's going on? And I had to use force to pull it out.
God.
And it hurt so bad and then it just stopped hurting altogether. And I was like, oh, okay, so I guess it's not going to be a big deal. But then about an hour ago, it started hurting really bad. So I have to just take some Tylenol before bed or something.
Yeah, or have it looked at.
And I'm like, why was there a toothpick on the ground? Everyone's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's so strange. I'm like, I wasn't me. I can assure you that. I'm just hoping somebody wasn't picking their teeth with it and I'm going to get like a blood infection.
Well, you know, one of your kids is going through their cowboy phase. They're like, you know, how you doing, Tex? You know, like, I mean, you know, it's possible.
Totally. But you know what? You know what will really take the ease the pain is this delicious slice of pumpkin pie right here. Look at this.
Wow.
Yeah. Delicious pumpkin pie. Jen made 5 pies for Thanksgiving, so
yes.
Got to eat up. Oh, that's gonna go down delightfully during this episode. So hey guys, listen up. I'm gonna give it to you straight here. If you want to support the show, if you get some value out of this idiocy that we throw at you every week, if you are using us to pass the time while driving on a commute or listening while you do the chores or whatever it is, if we bring you some value, then hey, why don't you give us some value back? For as little as $1 a month, you can become a patron on Patreon. You can also donate via PayPal and just click the monthly subscription rate, or you can do it Richard Fusey style. And every month, just pick a different number I'm going to give $5 this month and $20 that month and $10, whatever you want to do. Everything's available at deeppurplepodcast.com. You can check it out right there. We have merch on our Etsy store still available. I was thinking I should probably do a sale on some of that stuff. You know, holidays.
Well, you missed your chance for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So
that's true. Yes, it is
Cyber
Monday as we're recording. So yeah, I would have really biffed the biffed that one. And I'm probably pushing it for getting it before Christmas. Oh, but hey, these ideas always come late. So yeah, maybe we'll put some sales on there. Try to get some. So we have a few shirts left and quite a few mugs. So if you're interested, you can check it out there. And another way, if you want to support our show but do not wish to give us any money, you can also do so by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. This helps new people discover the show. We would love it. And you know, when not to tempt you, but I got to keep it silent here. This guy The Flexitone, the 5-star Flexitone will come out if you leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. So
Only if.
I'm being very careful. I don't want it to make a peep without a 5-star review. That's the only time I play, and every time I play the Flexitone, I get a little bit more skilled, a little bit better. So we appreciate that. Thanks to our patrons coming in at the executive level. We have the £10 tier with Dr. Jill Brees. We have the turn it up to $11 tier with Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Alan 82 Broud to Beg, and Mikkel Steen. At the $10 someone came tier, we have Ryan M, Jeff Bryce, Gerald Kelly, and Victor Campos. And at the $9.99 executive assistant tier, we have Richard Fusey. Thank you so much to all of you for being in our top level of patrons. We'll thank the rest of those guys a little bit later. Okay, so some show updates. The reason we got talking about Golden Girls last week was because me and John are going to be hanging out in the lanai in Florida, heading to Miami, in Hollywood, Florida, I should say, which is kind of close to Miami, I guess. February 10th, John's birthday. Come celebrate with John on his birthday by watching a Deep Purple show and maybe having a beer or two with us before or after.
Yeah.
Tickets are still available.
Come celebrate my 30th birthday.
Maybe I should pull this up to see how many yeah, John's 30th birthday. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love him.
So
I'm just remembering too, when I turned 30, I thought that was so old, and now we're using 30 as the benchmark for being much younger.
Yeah, the 30 sounds great right about now.
Yeah.
So there's actually quite a few seats left. All the cheap seats in the back, the above are taken, but there's quite a few on the two sides that are available. There's $60 tickets, which isn't bad. There's some in the $80 range too, and then there's some like pricier one. Actually, some of the ones right down by the stage on the left hand side and the right hand side. Well, the left hand side for some reason they're going for 110, which isn't bad. You're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows back. I don't know if there's a big column in front of those. And then the other side of the stage for some reason are like 300 plus. So I don't know what's so much better about one side versus the other, but yeah, check it out. There's some other tickets like right in that looks like the mezzanine above too. So yeah, check that out. That's the Hollywood, Florida show. 2 days later, we'll be in St. Petersburg at the Mahaffey Theater, which I hopefully am pronouncing right. And that one, I'm pulling that one up right now. Looks like there's some it doesn't show you seat by seat, but it looks like there's a bit of availability left. It looks like all the boxes and everything are taken, but there's stuff in the pit. The pit is like $200 tickets, a little further back $100, and then above you get the $160, $50 to $60 range. So not bad.
Well, it's good to hear that there are, a lot of them are selling.
Oh yeah, I mean it looks like it's going to be pretty packed. I would assume. I mean we're 3 months out here, so it might be even sold out. It'll probably be sold out because there's not a ton of tickets left. But if you want to get in, you certainly can at this point. Some feedback from, even though it's only been about 24 hours since we recorded our last episode. Some feedback. The Golden Girls was a thing in the UK. I've heard from some of our UK listeners that they're familiar with the Golden Girls. So that's big news. Glad to hear that. Another album that got brought up, we were talking about, bands that did all cover albums, is Gillan's Inn, which didn't think about that. That's a good one. Although Gillan's mostly doing Gillan written or co-written songs. I think there's one song on there and then maybe some bonus tracks that are straight covers. So that's another good example. And then to follow up, I couldn't find this last time, but I knew I was reading it in an article, but Real World Studios, where Gillan did his vocals, that's the studio owned by Peter Gabriel. So it's a studio, residential recording studio founded by Peter Gabriel. It's situated in the village of Box, Wiltshire, near to the city of Bath. I've been to Bath. Saw the stone formations there. Very cool.
I took a bath once.
See, there's so many coincidences here. It's just unreal.
Somebody asked me recently, like, do you have a bathtub? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, you should, soak with some lavender, Epsom salts or whatever. It's like, I haven't taken a bath in like 40 years. Okay. It's like, why would I ever want to take a bath? Like,
the last time you took a bath, it was like you and Mike were in the bath together playing with like little toy boats.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know. It sounds like such an unappealing idea.
I don't like it. Jen takes a bath all the time. I don't. The only time I take a bath is like maybe once a year if I'm like feeling really sick. Like I'll get in the bath, but
Yeah.
that's it. Not like I have never taken a non-illness bath since I was
Yeah.
like a very little kid.
I feel like if you're like in a luxury hotel or you have a really nice house or something, you would like want to take a bath in one of those. But if you just have a standard, like,
Yeah.
like bathroom, like in your house or whatever, like you either step into it to use it for the shower, or like, you're plunging yourself into it, like with Epsom salts to like feel better, or like a ice bath if you have like a fever of like, 103 as an emergency. Like those are the only
Hot blood.
scenarios I could see.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it.
You know?
I don't feel like just don't have the time for it. But we have a huge bath in our big dumb bathroom. But I just don't really take advantage of it too much.
Mm.
So our bathroom is the worst laid out bathroom in North America. I can guarantee you. It's big, and absolutely they've squandered all the space when they designed it. They're just like, oh, let's make everything terrible. Let's make no room for anything. Somehow there's just no room for anything. Our little tiny bathroom in the apartment we lived in before this was somehow laid out better than this giant stupid bathroom we have now. Thinking one day remodeling it, but it's pricey. So anyway, before we get to the main meat of the show, we're gonna get right into the songs, obviously, because we covered a lot of the other stuff earlier in yesterday's episode. Or last week's episode, I should say. Deepdivepodcastnetwork.com. Check it out. You can listen to Sabbath Bloody Podcast with Rye, The Simple Man of Skinner Reconsidered, us, of course, Terry T-Bone Mathley, T-Bone's Prime Cuts, Paul, David, and Joe at Lap of the Pods, Scott at The Magician's Podcast, Andy and Matt at Hawk Binge. We got Eric and Jonathan at Maiden A to Z, Daniel and Josh at Diary of the Madmen, Ben and Sam at Universally Speaking, the Red Hot Chili Peppers podcast, and George and Tom at Metal Gods podcast. So check out those shows for sure. All right. So here we are. We are finally at the second half of the album. So I'm actually really looking forward to this because, well, I guess with the first half of the album, I had heard bits and pieces of it. And with the second half, I am going in completely cold. So that's why I'm really kind of looking forward to this one. It's just the opportunity to hear the songs that we really I've only heard the originals of. So ready to dive into this one, John?
Let's dive into the bathtub.
Let's dive into it. And what better way to enjoy some tracks than with a big plate full of Dixie chicken? Let's take a bite. Really setting a mood for this one. I wasn't really familiar with this track before, so, but I did like the original.
At this point, I think I forgot what the original sounds like.
Yeah.
I've seen the bright lights of Memphis and the Commodore Hotel. And underneath the street lamp, I met a Southern belle. Well, she took me to the river where she cast her spell. And in that southern moonlight, she sang a song so well. If you be my Dixie chicken,
I really like the little Dixieland style piano that Don's laying down in the back. A lot of piano on this album.
Yeah, I didn't make that observation out loud on the last episode, but I was thinking it. Kind of nice.
I think we've talked about this before. Like Don to me kind of steals the show in the last few albums. And live he just blew me away.
my money flowed like wine. Then that low down southern whiskey began to fog my mind. And I don't remember church bells, all the money I put down.
I don't know how long the original is on this one, but we were talking in the last episode about how kind of extended.
Yeah.
Here. That's nice. This is about a minute longer than the original. And I did not mention, but it's by the band Little Feat from the 1973 album Dixie Chicken.
Yes, that banjo player sure could play. She always liked to sing along. She's handy.
This one's got background vocals from Gillan, Glover, and Ezrin again.
Mm.
Of the Commodore Hotel, I chanced to meet a bartender who said he knew her well, and as he handed me a drink, he began to hum a song, and all the boys there at the bar began to sing along. If you'll be my Dixie chicken, I'll be your Tennessee lamb. We can walk together down in Dixieland, down in Dixieland.
That's a really cool effect. Hard pan left and right, like playing in unison, but
Mhm.
separate tracks. It sounds like on that slide. All right, so that is Dixie Chicken. Little
Nice.
Feat color. All right, John, what do you say about Dixie Chicken?
I'll give it a 3. I honestly didn't remember the song until I remember that you made a comment in the first episode we did listening to the originals that you think that that's somebody said that's where the Dixie Chicks might have gotten their name from that song, or
I think somebody in the chat might have said that.
yeah. But yeah, I mean it was just kind of like I guess it didn't make too much of an impression on me because when I was listening to it, I'm like, I don't remember listening to this one.
Mm.
And I mean, it was pleasant, it was enjoyable. It would be like one of those background songs I'd probably put on, but not, I wouldn't seek it out. But as usual, the playing is good. Everything's produced well. It's just, not too an exciting of a cover in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I would agree and also give that one a 3. I think it's very well done and well played, but it's just a little plodding, and it does go on about a minute longer than the original. And I'm not trying to think. Just for the hell of it, I'm gonna play just a few seconds of the original just to see what the tempo of that one is, to see how much they sped it up or slowed it down. So far.
No, sounds about the same tempo.
Yep. Yeah, so I don't think they necessarily slowed it down at all. So it's basically sounds like they did the exact same kind of tempo
Treatment
on it.
to it, yeah.
So yeah, again, a 3. I think you can't deny the playing is really good, but yeah, maybe the song just doesn't excite us the way that some of the other ones would. Okay, next up, Yardbirds cover, "Shape of Things," written and
This should
composed
be
by James
interesting.
McCarty, Keith Ralph, Paul Samuel Smith, published by Yardbirds Music. Backing vocals again. Bob Ezrin is all over this album on backing vocals. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Shape of Things.
Shapes of things before my eyes. Just teach me to despise. Will time make men more wise? Here within my love.
This is such a. Some songs just have that distinct sound to them. This song sounds so 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously this is an updated version, but it's so 60s sounding.
You know, it's a lot more fluid than the original version.
Yeah.
Like Pace's drumming is really good there. He's got some, you know, some powerful sounding drums in that that kind of this part coming up here. But yeah, the original version is a lot more kind of like staccato sounding. And I don't know, I think that's where the song gets a lot of its personality from. Not that they have to do it exactly like the original, but I think I'm kind of missing that
Yeah.
a little bit.
That's pretty cool. I don't recall how the solo break goes in the original, but it sounds like it's kind of coming out of the song.
Yeah,
Into
this is-
something very new.
Yeah, this is definitely like modernized. But I mean, really nice. Yeah, it sounds like the guys are just doing their own thing on it here.
And the original was 2 minutes and 26 seconds. So again, they tacked on about an extra minute on this one. Whoa. Ian Gillan band sort of out of nowhere synth sound. You know me, I'm all for that.
Interesting version.
Of Things. Yeah, what do you think of that one, John?
Despite not really loving too much the direction they went in with it, I want to give it a 3.5. Because I do think it's a good song, but I have to kind of disagree that you said you can really tell it's a 60s song. I think like I only can because I know it is, but I think that they lost whatever feel it had from that. You know what I mean? Like when they did the 7 and 7 is Love, like that sounded like a 60s song. You know, it kind of retained that, you know, original flavor, I guess. But I think that they musically, they kind of, you know, and that's the whole point of a cover album is to put your own stamp on it. But I think that took that out of this song. And I kind of liked the song with that. And I've heard a couple of covers of this song by other artists who have done it like a little more faithfully, like, you know, like kind of heavier, you know, but kind of keeping with the, you know, the original kind of feel of the song. But I did like the solo breakdowns in the middle, because it was obviously more modernized and sounded more, Steve Morse, modern guitar player, type of feel to it, which I do like. I don't know if I liked it for this song, but yeah.
To me, I just
my
like the
feeling
whole
on it.
melody line and everything, the shapes of things before my eyes. Like it just kind of like has that like weird marching rhythm to the delivery of the vocals that just sounds to me like such a 60s song. Even listening to this one and not
Yeah.
being, I've heard the original, but I'm not super, I was never like big into the Yardbirds.
Mhm.
So like it just, to me, when I listen to stuff like that, it's, I don't want to say it'll come across as negative, but I don't mean it that way. But it has that generic 60s pop, not the Beatles sound to it.
Right,
To me, it's
right.
like,
Everybody but the Beatles,
from
right?
my limited standpoint, like everyone else in say 1966 was releasing songs that sounded like that, and the Beatles were kind of on a different plane as far as
Mhm.
their songwriting and their melodies and stuff. Just my opinion. You may disagree, but so when I hear a song like that, I'm like, oh, it's a contemporary of the Beatles that was trying to be in that same ballpark, but not quite getting there. That's my take on it. So that being said, I will give this one a 3.5, a strong 3.5, almost leaning to a 4, because I really like what they did with it. I like that little midsection they put in there. Thought it was pretty cool. Okay, so I'm excited about this next one. It was probably the song on the original that I was maybe the least into. It's the Battle of New Orleans. So it's a skiffle kind of song, the original. And I think we talked about this before when you a lot of our musical heroes reference skiffle as being this great thing. I was just watching the Beatles documentary Get Back, came out a few days ago. So I'm almost done the second episode of that out of the 3 episodes, and they will start playing some of their the songs, like just out of nowhere. They'll just start playing a song from the 50s that they loved, and they're talking about how great skiffle is. And as in our generation, you just look at it and you're like, really? Like, how did skiffle inspire any of these people to do anything? To me, it just looks like it's crazy. I just listened to it and I'm just like, I'm glad it did inspire them, but I don't know. I don't understand how. And I think we've talked about it before, when you, the people that influenced you, when you look at who influenced them, sometimes it's a head scratcher. That being said, I'm looking forward to this because it's been talked about a lot, and I've been intentionally not listening to it because I want to hear it for the first time. But when you look at the notes here, it says vocals, Roger Glover, comment, Ian Gillan. So it's been widely talked about. Again, I haven't heard it yet, that Roger Glover takes lead vocals on this one. And it's the first time in Deep Purple history that Roger's on a studio album that Roger Glover has taken lead vocals, or that anyone really other than one of the singers has taken lead vocals. So very interested on that. But it also says credit Steve Morse and Bob Ezrin, but Roger Glover is the first credit. And then also fiddle, Genus Forsyth, and Squeezebox, Bruce Dagrapont. So there you go. Squeezebox. What's a squeezebox?
Something that Mama's got.
Isn't
Ah,
ew. She wears it on her chest, I heard. What? I'm looking at it. Oh yeah, it's like the little, like it's like an accordion. I don't know if it differs from an accordion, or if it's just like another term. It's like, is that what British people call an accordion? I don't know. So yeah. Or is it just the little one like the monkey plays with it? You can put your hands on the entire thing, or does that actually have the keyboard attached? I don't know. I'm not maybe when we listen to this, it'll.
hey, the monkey, his name is Giuseppe.
Okay, so here we go. The Battle of New Orleans, New Orleans, as they call it, or New Orleans, depending on where in America you're from. So here we go. Battle of New Orleans.
Well, in 1814 we took a little trip along
Yeah, that's Roger.
He's doing his like American accent.
We met the bloody British in the town of New Orleans. Well, we fired our guns and the British kept it coming. There wasn't as many as there was a while ago. We fired once more and they began to run down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico.
And of course, it's great that it's a song about defeating the British.
Down a river and we see the British come. There must have been 100 of them beating on a drum. They stepped so high and they made the bugles ring. We stood beside our cotton bales and didn't say a thing. We fired our guns and the British kept it coming. There wasn't as many as there was a while ago. We fired once more and they began to run down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Old Hickory said
Very,
we could take 'em by surprise if we didn't fire a musket till we looked 'em in the eyes.
Very different sound to it than the original.
Yeah,
The
it's kind of
original-
fun.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Well, the layers of the way that the layers of vocals sound are really like impressive. Like it's just really full sounding.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love the way he makes Gillan sound. Like, I mean, you got like Gillan sounded good as ever.
It's awesome hearing them sing together too.
Yeah, that's fun too. There's a really like deep, like what do you call it? A baritone voice or something in there.
I'm wondering who's doing that.
Maybe that's Bob Ezrin.
Maybe it's Steve.
That was pretty fun. That was,
That was
it has to
pretty
be so far the most original song on the album.
Original as far as
Like original sounding.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. If you played that for the average Joe on the street, I don't think that they would guess it's Deep Purple doing it.
No,
I mean,
no.
honestly, if you played it for me, other than recognizing those voices so well, I would. If you just played the music for me, I'd be like, I had some I don't know, some Zydeco band that I don't even know what Zydeco is. It just sounds like it probably sounds like that.
Yeah.
You know what it reminded me of? So before the show, we had a little funnily enough, we had a I played a Weird Al song for you when you joined the
Yep.
chat.
Here's
after a few-
Johnny.
yeah. So this one reminds me of another one. Do you recognize? See if this if you can see where I'm coming from. I might have to fast forward to the.
I can't hear it.
You can't hear it? So I kind of like.
Oh wow, yeah. Have the happy birthday, yeah, song.
Dun, 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 dun. I mean, it's quite possible. I mean, it's a very like standard kind of.
Well, we finally
melody.
found the Weird Al Deep Purple connection.
Yeah, well, I think the also Weird Al's a world-renowned squeeze boxist, so maybe that's what's reminding me of it. But it definitely is following the beats of that melody in that song. But that's all I could think of when I was hearing it. But anyway, what do you think of Battle of New Orleans or New Orleans?
I will give it a 3.5. I thought it was good. I mean, despite not enjoying that type of song, like kind of has that, I don't know, that kind of country hillbilly, like honky tonk feel to it. I really don't like music like that. And especially when they have, lyrics like that about, I don't even
Fighting the British.
yeah, stuff like, yeah, exactly. Like if it's like a storytelling type of
Yeah.
lyrics or whatever, and then we went to and then we did this and then and we picked up the flag and ran over here, and I don't know what they were saying, but
that sort of style of that storytelling song to me is usually an instant turn off.
yeah, it's very kind of like like a country hick type of like sounding thing. That's what I associate it with. However, since it's Deep Purple and it was like a Roger Glover, Ian Gillan collaboration on vocals, and I really liked the layering of the vocals and how they sounded, and Gillan as a background singer was like really good. I mean, again, and like I keep saying it, this is just like you close your eyes and you think that you're listening to Gillan like 30 years ago or more. It's like, it doesn't matter how Ezrin got to that point. It's like you're hearing Gillan like you want to hear him, like in an album in 2021. And I think that those vocals really stood out, and the fact that it was just like a fun song, knowing that it was Purple doing this, and they were just like, you're just like, okay, they're having like a ball doing this.
Yeah.
It kind of like, walked the line of, being, kind of like almost ridiculous, but it didn't get there. You're enjoying it, but you're not laughing at it, being like, like it is like, it's a Weird Al song. It's like, you could play the Weird Al song and be like, yeah, they sound the same, but it's like, they did a great job with it. So I'll give it a strong 3.5 for that.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna surprise myself and give this one a 4. I really did not care for the original all that much. Like it's not, it's like you said, that's music, like a kind of music that I would never seek out. And I generally don't like super literal, like storytelling songs. Like to me, like, like the song American Pie or something, I can't, like every time it comes on, I'm just like, oh, I can't do it. Even speaking of Weird Al did a parody of it. I can't even listen to that. I'm like, sorry, Weird Al. I can't even, although it's great. It's a great parody, like all of his are, but I'm just like, I can't even listen to that.
What's the other one?
It's just not my thing. And that's not to say there's definitely storytelling songs that I really like and that I enjoy.
Like Shooting Star, Jack and Diane, it's just like,
Jack and Diane, don't even get me started on Jack and Sucking on Chili Dogs. Did you ever hear the Sucking on Chili Dogs remix?
American Pie, what else?
They did somebody did like a remix of the song Jack and Diane, but it's all it is repeating the word sucking on chili dogs. So it's like sucking on chili dogs, sucking on chili dogs, sucking on chili dogs, sucking on chili dogs. The entire song.
No, I'm glad I haven't.
It's kind of saved the song for me. But yeah, the songs like that I generally can't stand, because I think it's because they're just so literal. Like, I like when they tell a story with like maybe a little bit of nuance or metaphor or something. Like I don't
think
mind
that's the literal storytelling,
but I like when it leaves a little something in your, up to your imagination, when it tells you exactly beat for beat exactly what happened. So
right.
So yeah, but that being said, I think this is a great bit of fun. I love hearing Roger sing, and like you said, Ian backing him up sounds so good. Whoever's got that baritone going on sounds great. It's just a fun song. Great squeeze box playing. Love the squeeze box. But yeah, it's great stuff. Very, very happily impressed with that one, because it's probably the one I was least looking forward to, but it ends up being one of my stronger tracks on the album. Okay, next up, this is the song Lucifer, which is a Bob Seger system song, written and composed by Bob Seger, of course. Backing vocals again by Gillan and Ezrin, percussion by Julian Shank. And this is one of the songs that I was not familiar with at all before we got into it, but I really like the original. So looking forward to see what they do with this one.
Well, cruising on the Great Snakes till my dying day, checking all the hand houses out along the way, wasting time drinking wine, life is short and I ain't lying, living all I can do every day. You can call me Lucifer if you think you should.
love that plunking piano with a little guitar riff going over it. It's a great effect.
It's a little more straight ahead rock.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I'd love to know what the process was for selecting these songs. And I'm sure it's some of the stuff they put out in maybe interviews and maybe documentaries that may come later. They'll maybe get a little more into it. But it'd be great to see who picked this one.
I like the recent Roger Glover interview that we referenced before, and they're like, "Oh, who picked these songs?" And he's like, "We all did."
Thank you for clarifying, Roger.
Like, I think it might have been like, you know, who was the main person that would go, or did somebody like particularly lean toward a certain song or something? He was just like, so I mean, who was responsible for picking out all the songs? He's like, oh, we all picked them, and I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Deep purplifying the middle part again. But I think this is probably the original of this is actually. Oh, nice Hammond solo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you'd be necessarily fooled by the verse parts of this, but by that instrumental break, if you didn't know the song, maybe even if you did know the song, you'd just think, oh, this is a snippet of a Deep Purple song off their new album. Fade out.
Yeah, they probably
And I-
jammed that one out.
I want to say that one was from like, I think that's from 73 or something. So Deep Purple would have been in full swing by when that came out.
Mhm.
All right. So Lucifer, what do you think, John?
I'll give it. Whoa. Oh, wait a minute. I think I gave it the shocker.
Jesus.
I think by accident. Whoops.
Definitely. Yeah, let's go with
I
these
g-
4 fingers.
I'll give it a 4.
4, yes.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It had a lot of the classic Purple elements in it that I was hoping to hear, at least a couple of more times in the album. And it's, aside from that, it's like it's a good song too.
Yep.
And as usual, everybody sounded great, and it was nice to hear a classic Hammond solo on there that just made me think bits and pieces of John Lord, obviously, and Don Airey definitely hit the mark.
Yeah, for sure. I will also give it a 4. Thought that was really well done, really good. Moved along really well. Good, definitely a good version. Okay, so we've got the last solo song, meaning the medley is coming after that, and that is, of course, White Room by Cream, written and composed by Jack Bruce, Peter Brown, and redacted, according to the liner notes here. Backing vocals again, Gillan and Ezrin, recorded at the Renaissance House. So here we go. White Room, a song we are all very familiar with. Here Here it is.
In the white room with black curtains near the station. Black roof country.
So pretty faithful now.
Tired starlings.
Not throwing in the little guitar fills though.
Feel the horses run down moonbeams in your dark eyes. Dawn like smiles on you leaving my contentment. I'll wait in this place when it's all
And of course, Cream, Deep Purple opened for Cream in '68, I think, on the Farewell tour.
What is it?
Deep Purple opened for Cream during their Farewell tour,
Right.
and then they were kicked off the bill because Eric Clapton felt threatened by Ritchie Blackmore.
Well, good. He should have been.
Yes. Got a little wah guitar coming in there late. Like that little synth part that Airey throws in there.
Yeah, the kind of interesting interpretation on it.
But other than that, it's pretty straight ahead. It's just kind of a... So far, not Deep Purple-ified, but we got some time to go. Only about halfway through.
At the party, she was kindness in the hot crowd. Consolation for the old wound now forgotten.
Or are you saying like this is a song they throw in like a movie to just let you know what time the movie? Yeah, it's the
No,
60s.
to let you know it was the late 60s.
Yeah.
She's just dressing goodbye windows, tired starlings. I'll sleep in this place with the lonely crowd.
This one is the exact same length as the original, a few seconds off.
Yeah, I don't think they really added anything different.
No. It seems like they had a kind of a 4 to 5 minute mark they wanted to hit for every song. So if the song wasn't long enough they were covering, they'd throw in some trading off solos. Pads going on in the background. There we go, another fade out. There you have it, White Room. What do you think of White Room, John?
Hmm.
I think
I'm
we
gonna
finally
think.
we finally broken John.
No, I'm just trying to like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
All right.
I mean, I think about it is the 2.5 is a halfway point, so it's really not bad. But the reason I want to give it a 3 is because like it kind of disappointed me. It's kind of what I thought would happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I think that I like the original a lot.
Yeah.
And I think there were some things in the original, like, I mean, Clapton's fills and his outro guitar solo. I mean, you got to be good and or you know, replicate it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in order for it to like, you know, hit me, you know, in the gut. And it really just didn't, you know.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I didn't like what Gillan did with the vocals because it's like, I mean, you know, Jack Bruce was like, you know, a good singer. You know, it wasn't like, you know, nobody was just like ever talks about him. He was like, oh, top vocalist of all time, Jack Bruce. But I think that I don't know. Gillan just kind of missed the mark a little bit. I think with how he sang it, especially like, and I don't know if he can still do it. Although I think he could sing this way. Is in like the chorus or the bridge or whatever. I guess it's like the chorus or the pre-chorus. I'll wait in this place where the sun never shines.
Yeah.
Like instead of it being like a group vocal, I was really hoping that he was going to go into that kind of like almost like you know, child in time type of vocal, not the really high one, but where he, you know, was like kind of, you know, whispering the lyrics, you know,
Yeah.
type of thing, which I still think that he can do, or I would think that he could still do. Maybe he can't, or maybe he just chose not to. But I think that that would have been really nice for him to kind of like hit those kind of like, you know, sweet, kind of like soft notes on his own,
Yep.
kind of like Jack Bruce did in the original. Um, Instead of it being kind of the overblown Bob Ezrin production that it was. Like I don't think that that really worked too well on this song. Um, and Yeah, I mean, even though I said that it was like overdone and it would have been cool if they did like a cream deep cut instead of this, like a better executed version of this would have like you know, I would have liked to have heard. But for me, some of the choices were just not, you know, my favorites. So I don't think I'd listen to it again.
Yeah, I think you hit on a lot of the points. I will also give it a 2.5. This is probably the song I was the least when it first came out that it was a covers album. I know there was a lot of talk of like, oh, we're not gonna be doing any obvious songs. We're not doing the radio hits. And then the first song like my eyes fell to were White Room, and I was like, come on, that's it's such a classic song.
Right.
To me, I would have loved to have them do a song where the title wouldn't immediately grab me that was Cream, where I'd be like, what song is that? Oh, it's something else off of Disraeli Gears, or
Right.
that I'm not as familiar with, and I'd actually have to like listen to it to be like, oh yeah, that song. I never really remembered what the name of the song was or whatever, but instead it's kind of like outside of Sunshine of Your Love, is it maybe the biggest Cream song, or maybe it's neck and neck with that one. I don't know how you measure that, but those are the two songs I think of.
Recognizable. Very recognizable. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, it felt almost like a little forced, like they were going through the motions on it, and like by like the third verse or something, I was just like, oh, it's another verse, you know. It didn't have the same fire in it that the original did, which is understandable. But I think it would have been nice if they had. I think this is probably the most faithful cover that they've done so far in this album. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, at that point, what's the point? It just it didn't super grab me. So yeah, 2.5 for me, which leaves us with only one more track left before we get into closing out the episode, with some reviews and such. But that track is Caught in the Act, which I thought was kind of, I didn't realize until like after, it's like, oh, Caught in the Act. It's like, you know, like they always throw in some little covers into their songs. Like they'll do those little quick, like little few minute or you know, 30-second little snippets they'll throw depending on what's going on in the news or what town they're playing in. And I was just like, oh, like, so this is Caught in the Act. Like these are songs you would have caught them playing on their tours. So I thought that was kind of clever. You've got, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Mhm.
songs. 5 songs in a 7.5 minute song. So it's probably going to move pretty quick. It's
Yikes.
obviously the longest song in the album. It would have to be, being a medley of 5 songs, but they're not going to be spending more than a minute or minute and change on each song. So you've got Going Down, which we think we talked about. They might be kind of going with more of the Jeff Beck version, but the version that we covered on our originals was by a band called, was it Moloch, which I wasn't really super familiar with. Green Onions, of course, Hotlanta, Dazed and Confused, and Give Me Some Lovin'. And again, when I saw those tracks, I was like, again, not a lot of deep diving on those.
Right.
They're all very well. Going Down has been covered by, I think I talked about it in the originals episode, but Mark 3 or Mark 4 at least covered that one, if not Mark 3 as well. They used to play it live. And then, Green Onions, Hotlanta, Dazed and Confused, Give Me Some Lovin'. No real deep cuts there, but it'll be interesting to see how they weave them all together into one distinct unit. So here we go. We'll kick it off without further ado. Caught in the Act. Does make you wonder, how would they arrange something like this when they're all remote?
Yeah.
What those meetings sounded like. Gillan's not even singing over this.
I wonder if it's all instrumental.
No, there he goes.
Oh, okay.
Very, very low in the mix, though. There you go. Oh, really make that work.
Mm.
Probably not.
So far, so good.
Great if Gillan didn't sing much during Going Down, but he sang during this one. Like, green onions, I got those green onions. He starts making up
He
words.
makes up his own words.
He's like, I forgot to sing on Going Down, so I'll just make something up for this part.
He's like, I'm the honky tonk man. I'm the honky tonk man. I mean, donkey ride dream.
I really do it. I feel like this is a hard one to capture the feel of, but they do a really good job with it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of occurred to me that they've got 2 out of the first 3 are instrumentals to begin with. Is he gonna jump in and do a Robert Plant impression? We'll have to see. Be great if Coverdale comes on. That's decent.
Oh,
You know, the Robert Plant clone that everyone knows.
ugh, don't get me started. I think so far they're nailing this medley. It's really good.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Songs don't really flow into each other. They just kind of like stop and then they just start the new one.
Go into the next one. But it's cool.
But yeah, it's still good. That's my only critique right now. Ah.
Definitely putting their own spin on that.
Yeah, but you notice they picked up on a different part of the song.
Yeah.
They're not having Gillan try and sing it.
So maybe the whole thing is instrumental.
You know, with a little bit of him, like, you know, kind of singing melody in the background.
He must do a lot of Give Me Some Lovin' because there's a lot of song left. Maybe Gillan will come back for that. Nice. Good old Muff Winwood.
Well, my temperature's rising and my feet love the floor. Crazy people knocking 'cause they wanna sell more. Let me in, baby, I don't know what you got, but you better take it easy 'cause this place is so hot now. So glad we made it. So glad we made it. I want you to give me some loving. Give me some loving. Give me some.
I think that might be Roger in the background.
Singing? It
Yeah.
sounds like, well, it says Bob Ezrin, Nicole Talia, and Marsha B. Morrison from the.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, I feel so good
I wish they all went,
everything's
hey!
You better take some time, I've got the places on fire. You better stop, baby, 'cause I have so much to do. We made it, baby, and it happened to you now. So glad we made it. So glad we made it. I want you to give me some loving every day. Give me some loving every day. Give me some loving every night.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Going back into I'm down at the end, or going down at the end. It's- I don't know how much of that is like the song's over, so I'm just gonna like do a little roll on this tom, and they decide to keep it. All right, Caught in the Act, John. What do you say about Caught in the Act?
4.5.
Oh,
Hi-oh. Yeah,
All right.
yeah, well, I mean, you know, it's good. I mean, you know, they really they hit on a good medley, you know. I think they did a justice to all the songs, and yeah, it was a cool listen.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what I was hoping for.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, like you said, I think the only critique I would have, which in very minor, is that they didn't. It was kind of like they stopped a song and they went on to the next one. They stopped a song and went on to the next one. Although at the end, when they tied in going down, again at the very end, they kind of tied it with a little bow. That was like really, really well done. But yeah, all of the performances were great of each one of the individual songs, and then ending with pretty much almost a full version of "Give Me Some Lovin'." That's a pretty short song, but it's a little shorter. Yeah, that was really cool. I'll give it a 4. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was a great little closeout to the album and a nice little nod to what they do live generally. So that's pretty cool. Be interesting to see what songs they decide to put into the act when we go, or if they would do something like this in the set, like maybe reproduce this, or what nods to this they'll be at all when they play, if any. Really cool. So there you have it. While John tabulates up how this is going to stack up in our complete album list, I will take this moment to thank our core level patrons. Coming in at the $7.77 Keep It Warm Rat tier, we have Michael Vader. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith, Anton Glaving, and no longer Richard Fusey. Gotta keep deleting this one. At the $6.65 Almost Evil tier, we have Kenny Wymore. At the $5.99 Nice Price tier, we have Fielding Fowler and Robert Smith. And at the $5 Moneylender tier, John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Alman, Alexi the Perfect Stranger Slepikov, James North, Mark Hodgetts, Kev Roberts, Will Porter, Zwapper the Electric Alchemist, and Tim Southern Cross Johnson. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. All right, John, where does Deep Purple Turning to Crime 2021 release out just a couple of days ago, where does that fit in this list of albums we've done so far?
Okay, so this is in the kind of the lower mid range of overall ratings. As a 7.17. So it's I would say it's like in the bottom half. Wasn't our highest rated, but our variance was small. We rated it roughly about the same. And it is below Scarabus and above Cher Kazoo, which is kind of funny because, that's funny how that works out. So sandwiched between a couple of Ian Gillan albums,
classics.
So actually kind of surprised that Scarabus is that far down there, but I can't remember what I said about it. But
who can remember back that far?
But so like I said, kind of on the lower end of ratings, but I mean, I think we rated everything, kind of there were a lot of songs on there. We rated them mostly average. There were not a ton of standouts. It wasn't like an all 4s and 5s album. So
no, but there were some good solid 4s, like the first couple of tracks, and the last couple before we got into White Room was kind of the one that probably brought down the overall average.
I mean, I would say overall, well produced and performed album, but if I may, kind of speculate that maybe if they did this album as a group in one room, like recording it traditionally, as opposed to mailing in, so to speak, all of the parts, it may have sounded more cohesive at times. But I mean, for what it was like excellently produced and performed.
And I think that's the whole thing going into it. You have to understand is that they weren't in a position to do that, and they couldn't do that, and this was the result. What they did, it's kind of more like a fun project that they put together,
Right.
And then they ended up just kind of actually making it and packaging it into an album.
Right.
It's a lot
So
of fun.
I mean,
it's weird. It might be the last Deep Purple studio album that there ever is. Kind of an odd way to go out, but hey, it's been an odd couple of years. So like I said in the last episode, the alternative was nothing. And I think they put together something that was a ton of fun, really interesting and inventive. And I'm sure it was a lot of fun for them too. I'm sure they were, this is, people like Roger Glover, Ian Gillan, Ian Paice, all these guys, they've been on the road since they were in their teens, like almost without stop. Glover obviously had Glover and Gillan had a few years break after leaving Deep Purple, but then they both went right back out at it, and they've been at it ever since. So I think once they got home, I'm sure I think Ritchie gave an interview recently where he was within the last year or so, where he was saying like at first the pandemic was kind of like a nice little break, but then he was like, this is too much now. This is too long. I'm ready to go back out there and do things. And we don't work in a profession or a job where we had the luxury of having even a single day off. It was just nonstop, and if anything got more difficult and busier. So while I have sat in kind of jealous envy of people that got to stay home and be bored, like, oh, boo-hoo, you're bored, I can also kind of put myself in their shoes and say, well, after a certain point of doing this, you might say, man, I wouldn't mind seeing some other people or going out or doing things and not being stuck in my house all the time. Sounds like something I would love to know from experience that gets old, but I didn't have that opportunity, nor did you. So we're still kind of, we have had plenty of social interaction and plenty of getting out of the house. And so I think everybody with this whole situation we've been in has had an opportunity to be frustrated and annoyed and want things to change. So we just been in all different ways. So all right, there you have it. That's Turning to Crime. We've got a few, before we close it out, a few little reviews that have come through. Oops, I'm looking at the wrong sheet. So here we go. This one's from Ultimate Classic Rock. Just a couple snippets, but these surprises are surprisingly convincing. Guitarist Steve Morse gets to employ some different playing techniques. Don Airey rolls out a little barrel house piano on some of the tracks, and drummer Ian Paice sounds assured in the different rhythmic approaches. Gillan, meanwhile, can sing just about anything, so his voice winds up being the best ambassador for this unlikely fare. The closing Caught in the Act, meanwhile, fuses together bits of 60s favorites, lists all the songs, into the mostly instrumental medley that shows why Mark 8 is one of the group's best lineups and more potent than most of its Purple predecessors. So, pretty interesting. BraveWords.com gives this album a 6.5, says, my one gripe with Turning to Crime is that the selection of songs was rather predictable in the sense that it makes perfect sense for Deep Purple to cover a track like Cream's White Room. It's obvious that Deep Purple is targeting their efforts to the most prominent demographic whom they've already won over long ago, but I wish the band would have taken a different approach, maybe even covering songs from an artist or era that we wouldn't have necessarily expected. That's a good point. Like if they had imagine if they just thrown in something from, they did like a Kelly Clarkson song or something, or did something from more recently. That would be kind of interesting.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
Despite wanting the band to step a bit outside of their comfort zone, the band's latest efforts have continued to surprise fans with their level of quality, and I am still incredibly elated that 53 years after the band's debut in 1968, Deep Purple are still recording and releasing music new, or in this case, old, for rock fans of multiple generations to continue to enjoy. So that was pretty interesting. There's another one I had here somewhere. I actually mailed it to myself that I wanted to reference. This is actually an interesting one. So somebody interviewed Steve Morse the other day. I think this came out yesterday. So Deep Purple Steve Morse recalls hate for his Ozzy Osbourne covers. So he's talking about when he was in the band Living Loud, which is really cool. If you haven't heard it, it's a really cool project that's got Don Airey, Steve Morse, Lee Kerslake, Bob Daisley, and Jimmy Barnes on vocals doing all Blizzard of Oz songs. Really, really interesting. But he's talking in the interview about how the fans, like Ozzy fans, just basically like hated him and hated all of them for doing, fans can get, which I thought it was really cool because those are Kerrs, Lake, and Daisley songs just as much as they're Ozzy songs. So hearing them kind of do their own little take on it, I thought was awesome. They had every right to do so. But people, like, boo, it doesn't sound like when I put on my CD of Blizzard of Oz. It's like, then go listen to it's like, why are you here? Go home and listen to Blizzard of Oz.
Boo.
Boo. Boo.
You're just sitting there like booing a CD player. Boo.
Well, they did live shows too. But it's I mean, it's just funny like that people would take that stance, and when there's just, like I said, you can listen to your albums of it. And it's also, Ozzy's like impossible to cover. Like, it's very, nobody sounds like Ozzy. You can't, he's got, even though he's not a technically great singer in the league of any of the singers that we usually are talking about on the show, he's just Ozzy. You can't duplicate what he does with his voice. It's very difficult. Anyway, so he references that, and then he kind of talks about so he says in the same interview that Ian Gillan was totally against the recording of other artists' songs to make an album. He says, I thought the purists and myself would see something like this as criminal, metaphorically. It's awfully cheeky to think that you can improve on the originals, which are embedded in everyone's mind. I really love this record. You can always tell if you feel proud of a record if you play a few times afterwards and really listen to it, which isn't the case with all the records that I've made. But I have played this one, and I've played it to my pals, and I played it in a bar, and I'm very happy with it. It's harking back to what we do, to why we do what we do. So I thought that was interesting. But the most interesting review that I have seen is this one, and I'll put a link in the show notes. I don't know if they're going to change it or remove it or whatever, but it's from Pennsylvania News Today. So bear with me as I try to muscle through this verbatim review. New release, Deep Purple, Conversion to Crime. Turning to Crime arrives just 15 months after Whoosh, Deep Purple's 21st studio album. Despite the death of guitar wizard Ritchie Blackmore nearly 30 years ago and the death of keyboardist John Lord in 2012, he received high praise from critics who praised the band's ever-evolving creativity. This new release is the first DP album of a track that wasn't written by the band. This is a collection of songs previously recorded by other artists, such as Cream's White Room, Fleetwood Mac's Oh Well, and Bob Dylan's Watching the River Flow. So do you have any questions?
So who's been pretending to be Ritchie for the last 30 years if he died 30 years ago?
I don't know. Is it like the Paul McCartney rumors? Like they replaced him. Did they have a Ritchie Blackmore lookalike contest and then hire that guy to be in Blackmore?
I mean, at first I was like, maybe they were like metaphorically speaking, like the death of like the departure of, but then they were like, and the death of John Lennon. So, oh, okay. So they're talking about literal passing away.
Yeah, it's like, man, you really don't like what Ritchie's doing now. You just consider him dead. That's really harsh.
Yeah, like when Ritchie died and decided to play like Renaissance music, it's like, all right, even I'm not that much of a dick.
Even John is like, whoa, come on now.
I mean, let the man live. Let the man live and do what he wants to do.
Let the man live, since he is actually still alive.
My goodness. Yeah, that
yeah, maybe I didn't even think about that, but maybe they were trying to I think the metaphor fell flat though, if that's what they're going for. Because I mean, it sounds like if you didn't know who Deep Purple was, you'd say, oh, their guitarist has been dead for 30 years. That's terrible. I mean, they got the John Lord part right. Despite the death of, I mean, like you said, maybe despite the departure of guitar wizard Ritchie Blackmore nearly 30 years ago, that might have worked a little better. Maybe it was just something that didn't get
the
through.
Departure.
But they also said right after that, and the death of keyboardist John Lord, he received high praises from critics who praised the band's ever-evolving creativity. Who's he? It's like, do they think Deep Purple is one guy? Like the front man is named Deep Purple? I don't know what they're talking about. But you know what? I'm gonna click on it. This has been live for a couple of days now. I'm gonna see if they edited this. Let's see. But I'm putting it verbatim into my. It's not showing up. they remove it altogether? No, here it is. Conversion to crime. Despite the death of guitarists. Yeah, it's still in there. Yeah. So yeah, they're not.
You
they're
do like
still-
a wiki edit to that.
Maybe you should edit Wikipedia. Like nearly, the Ritchie Blackmore died nearly 30 years ago, and you referenced this article. Here's I'm citing my sources. You can't prove
Yeah.
me wrong. He died 30 years ago.
Some guy that said he. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, nobody could prove me wrong. It's impossible. Nobody's seen or heard of him for 30 years. Rod Evans, on the other hand, that might be easier to prove. But yeah, I thought that's a very short and dumb review, but I thought it was somebody had posted in one of the groups, and I thought this is worth repeating because it's just kind of funny. But yeah, so I mean, I think overall the reaction has been, even though the initial reaction was negative to the idea that they'd be doing a covers album, the reaction now has been pretty positive. People are liking it, and I think, you know, it's like anything else. If you take it for what it is, it's really a lot of fun. It's a fun little album. I wouldn't mind throwing this on my Spotify on my drive to work or whatever and listening to it. It's a great fun album. Again, it is what it is. It's a covers album. Deal with it. But yeah, they've released some great. There's also like they released, if you bought the album pre-order, they released a 13th bonus track, I'm a Road Runner, which is a Junior Walker All-Stars song. Is that true? From what I'm seeing here, I'm not really familiar with the song. So yeah, it's from 1965, so that would fit in well with all the other songs here. So they've got that. They've got 3 videos. Maybe in a future bonus episode we could dive into the videos and dive into the bonus track, but for now, 3 episodes on this new album will probably be all you get. I remember John was saying before, like, I don't think we should do 3 episodes of this, but then somehow we ended up doing it anyway.
Yeah, because I don't have any say.
Well, you had a say, but we just ended up deciding to do it anyway.
No, but I mean, if you think about it, like, it's a good idea that we did the original versions, which
Yes.
I think was valuable. And then splitting this into 2 episodes was also a good idea, because nobody wants to hear us talk about 12 songs in one episode. That's too much. Even
we learned that
I didn't
early
want
on
to talk about
with our Coverdale page episode. We learned
that was a learning experience. We were all freaking exhausted after that one.
Yeah, it was a super fun episode, but that should have been 2 episodes. We learned early on not to make that mistake, especially that was our first foray into the CD era, and we made that mistake. But I think what turned you around was the idea of doing a live stream, making it a little bit more casual, which I think it worked really well. But there was that kind of it was that idea, like, do we listen to the original then listen to this one, listen to the original then listen to this one,
right? That would have been monotonous.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of when we talk about, like, we've been talking for years about, like, when we get to slide it in, how are we going to handle the US and the UK versions? Are we going to just do 1 episode on each? Are we going to juxtapose them? Like, that's going to be a tricky one too, but I guess we got time to think about it. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did it. And hey, we are the Deep Purple podcast. So if Deep Purple comes out with another, this might be the last album they ever release. So we're covering it as soon as it comes out. So it's the last time we're able to, like, do a live coverage of a Deep Purple release. Why not get 3 songs, 3 episodes out of it? It's this is kind of the name of the podcast. But before we end, we have to, of course, wrap it up by thanking our foundation level patrons. Coming in at the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, we have Peter Gardeau, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Duncan Leask, Stuart McCord, and Flight of the Rat Bat Blue Light. And at the $1 made up name tier, we have the unlawfully perforated Leaky Mausoleum, Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 fanatic, Raf Calf, Spike the Rock Cat, JJ Stenard, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, and Ashton Lionel. Thank you to all of you rounding out the foundation level and keeping this show running. We really, really appreciate it. Whew. All right, John.
Woo.
Yeah, with the sweat from my brow. We'll be back at you, of course, next week with an episode. I have no idea what it's going to be about. We'll see what happens. What I gotta look at the list. I have no idea what we're covering next week.
Boy, well, when you don't know, then we're in trouble.
All I know is we've already recorded it. Oh, I see. Yes, of course.
Hi-yo.
Yep. So thank you. Join us next week for a fun, if unexpected episode coming up next week. Thank you so much to all of you, and we will see you next week. All right. Back to here. Boom, 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 boom. Eat a lot of broccoli and drink a lot of beer.
Fuck a lot of hoes and I don't know.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple Podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.